Yo, I'm Bob. Totally blind since birth, into Power Rangers. Got the Shop Factory box set in my hands. So we're talking about one of my favorite two-parters starting in this video. So we're talking about Season 2, Episode 17, or Episode 77 overall. This is White Light Part 1. It premiered on October 17th in 1994. Wow. So I was there when these two episodes premiered. One of the fondest memories I have as a kid of 11 is watching this two-parter among friends, among Ranger fans. I remember before the episode aired, Fox Kids, they repeatedly showed this one promo. If you go to YouTube and type in White Light promo, you'll probably see it popping up there. I don't remember how many days in advance they showed the promo, during various commercial breaks. But I remember getting really pumped for this two-parter. I remember, as I mentioned in another video, a couple of weeks before, maybe a week or week and a half to 2 weeks before, there was a buddy of mine, and he mentioned seeing a White Ranger and a Tiger Zord set out in the wild, as they say now when it comes to toys. He mentioned that he had a buddy who had a Kata video in which they said Tommy was the White Ranger. And he's like, I know you don't believe me. Nobody really does, but I swear this stuff's out there, man. And I was like, I wish it was true, man. I do want to believe you, and I do. Like, I really hope it's true. I remember that. But yeah, we were really excited for this two-parter to premiere. And I remember really being afraid that we weren't going to be able to watch it. There were people back in those days that thought Power Rangers was a bad influence on kids, but lucky for all of us, we got to watch this two-parter as it premiered with no interruptions or anything like that. So I love how the episode begins. We see right off the bat, Bulk and Skull, they're being rude. They want sandwiches to go. They're going to have a little stakeout, trying to find the Power Rangers, yada, 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 their latest scheme. And we see Kimberly. She's excited. She gets a letter from Tommy saying he's going to be coming home at the end of the week. They want to plan a surprise party. But Lord Zed, he wants to capture Tommy. We find out that he wants an heir to his throne in this episode, which is, of course, why I guess he wanted to marry Kimberly in the previous episode. Maybe Zed is... well, he's probably getting on up there. I don't know how many thousands of years old he is, but hey, maybe he's having a midlife crisis. Not sure what legacy he's going to leave. Wants to think about having some kids. Although not a fan of him wanting to marry the Pink Ranger. But I do love the idea of him capturing or wanting to capture Tommy in this episode. And the other Rangers, I remember watching the scene where Kimberly gives the news to them. They're all excited. And we get to see Zordon and Alpha. And they have been planning this for quite a while. And I love how Alpha, he's really excited here. Kind of reminds me of a kid on Christmas Day. He's singing to himself as they power down the command center and as they teleport to the hidden chamber. Now, Zeo, of course, had an heir to the time, but, since Zeo has come and gone, I tend to wonder if this hidden chamber might have been somewhat power chamber adjacent. I don't know for sure, but I remember watching this episode as a kid of 11 and finding out that there was more to the command center than we'd known up to this point. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting little scene. So one of my favorite scenes from part one here is when Bulk and Skull, they're on their little stakeout, everybody's playing ball, and all of a sudden they hear this big explosion, and they go right up to it. And yes, I did have a buddy. I can't remember if it was Zach or Dale. Might have been both of them. And they both got really excited when Rita landed. I remember one of my buddies there, just basically going, "Oh my God, it's Rita's dumpster!" And I'm like, "What did you just say? What did you just say?" They're like, "Yeah, the little dumpster Lord Zed banished her, and it just landed, and they're going up to it." And I remember, I mean, we all knew the White Ranger was coming, but this was a plot thread here that nobody saw coming. I remember during the commercial break, we were all wondering if she was going to get out, if she was going to start her own little war with Lord Zed. You got a bunch of crazy tag kids sitting in the same room. We're all not really sure what's going on. But yeah, we all got really excited when the evil witch herself returned to Earth in part one of the White Light. So you got Lord Zed. He's really wanting to capture Tommy, so he's going to create a new monster, Nimrod, the Scarlet Sentinel. And yes, I really do wish Hasbro would make that in the Lightning Collection. But this is a really interesting monster creation because in this episode, well, he doesn't microwave the monster. He doesn't just zap with his staff and the monster doesn't just come out. He's got the whole Sentinel statue marinating in this green slime. And it's a really interesting way that he goes about creating this monster. I guess the longer he lets these things marinate, or if he so chooses, they'll be even more powerful. And man, Scarlet Sentinel here, she was quite a powerful foe. I remember somebody looking over at me and be like, yeah, Bob, the slime, man, it reminds me of Gak. Those of you who weren't 90s kids, well, I'm sure they had Gak in the 2000s. Everybody knows what Gak is, the Nickelodeon slime stuff that you could buy. So you have a big putty battle going on. Lord Zed wants to divert the Ranger's attention away from finding out about the statue because Zach, he gets wind of this green slime covering their beloved Sentinel statue there. He lets the other Rangers know about it. So we get a putty battle to try and divert the Rangers' attention. They're trying to contact Alpha and Zordon after the battle, but they don't get them, of course, because they're not in the command center. They're, I guess, power chamber adjacent. So, yeah, we get them teleporting away. And that's when Scarlet Sentinel creepily, she's like, catch you later, Power Rangers. And I was like, oh, boy, that's kind of weird. And I think one of my buddies was like, yeah, man, it's got a face on it. It's like a big fist with a face behind it. What the heck is that? And, when the commercials are all over and done with, we see Tommy. And he gets teleported away. And I remember nobody knew who got him. We were all thinking that the Rangers were going to have to raid Lord Zed's palace in part 2. I mean, the first time we were all watching this, we couldn't stream it. We couldn't watch part 2 right after part 1. So we were like, uh-oh, I wonder which one got him. Did Zordon get him? Did Zed get him? If Zed gets him, I want to see him raid the palace so they can free Tommy. We were all wanting this big battle in Lord Zed's palace, which we didn't get, but it was kind of cool to imagine it after part 1 was done. So yeah, they go into the command center. They all discover Alpha and Zordon being gone. Billy finds an activity disk with all of the, computer inputs on there. I guess the command center has the search history. And he does find out at his lab that Alpha accessed a door of light. But before they can do anything, I think they see some lightning in the distance. At least that's what it sounds like is going on. They all morph. And Nimrod, she is ready to do battle. Lord Zed got tired of waiting, so he just calls her up. And man, she is one of my favorite monsters. I think she fires balls of electricity from her hands, from her mouth. Lord Zed makes her grow right away. You know how it goes. The Thunder Zords are summoned. Mega Thunder Zords formed. Then she summons her buddies, AC and DC. And I think these two have swords. And Nimrod, she's got a staff, an electric staff herself. I would really like to see maybe a Nimrod in the Lightning Collection with interchangeable parts so you could make her either one of these three, give her a sword, give her a staff. I don't know how different these two assistants of hers looked, but I kind of want all of the weapons. I might be tempted to buy 3 of them if we ever did get them in the Lightning Collection, just so we could have Nimrod, AC, and DC. But yeah, Thunder Megazord, he's on the ropes. Billy has to teleport away and back to the command center. But while all this was going on, we were all fascinated with seeing Bulk and Skull because they had taken Rita's little dumpster to Mr. Skulovich's workshop, and they have been trying to drill into that dumpster. And we really wanted to see her get out of that dumpster. They kept dragging it out throughout the episode. You know, you'd see them drilling, and toward the end of the episode, she wakes up. And always made me laugh, this one scene, because Rita starts screaming. Skull, he looks over at Bulk. He's like, "Hey, man, stop for a second, stop for a second." And then he's like, "Okay, what was that?" And Bulk's like, "Well, man, why'd you have me stop?" Skull's like, "I don't know. Hang on. Mom?" So I guess Rita's screaming sounds a lot like Skull's mom. Which really cracked me up the first time I watched that scene. So they're back to work. Billy, he does manage to find that door of light, falls through it, and I'm not sure what we see here at the end of the episode. I don't know if we actually see the White Ranger on a table or what. It's been so long since I've had this episode described to me. I remember bits and pieces of it being described when I watched it for the first time. But yeah, Billy, he is flabbergasted. And yeah, the episode ends with him saying, "Oh, amazing, they're making a new Ranger." And we got the big "to be continued." We all just talked and talked and talked about what might be to come for about half an hour after the episode was over. It was one of the best two-parters, if not my favorite two-parter in Power Rangers history. What a legendary miniseries this was. And nobody wanted to stop there, but this was back in the day when you could not watch ahead. You know, you had to wait until the next day to see what happened. And we got a next time on Power Rangers. I do remember that. I think you can watch that on YouTube as well. But what a fantastic beginning to the miniseries. So next time we're going to be talking about White Light Part 2. More of I wish Hasbro would make that as well. So be here for the discussion of White Light Part 2. I had a lot of fun with this video. And by the way, I would like to dedicate it to the late, great Jason David Frank, without whom there would be no White Ranger. Well, I mean, we would have a White Ranger, but I don't know if this two-parter would have turned out the way it did in the history of Power Rangers fandom. Anyway, guys, I'll hear you next time, and may the power protect you.